Guitarristas, nuestros entrevistados son siempre especiales, pero el de hoy yo creo que lo es hasta un poquito más. Ha grabado en el disco que más se ha vendido en la historia. Estoy hablando de Thriller de Michael Jackson y el guitarrista que está detrás de este disco, como no podía ser de otra manera, es Steve Lukather, que ha querido hablar con nosotros, con guitarristas, sobre su disco más reciente, el titulado Bridges. Os pasamos a ofrecer esta entrevista con el gran Steve Lukather. Hello, Steve. How are you? Thanks for your time.
I'm good. I'm in Los Angeles right now. I'm wearing sunglasses because I got this thing in my eye that it's a clogged tear duct. Nothing serious.
Oh,
Just it's old man shit.
I'm
Uh,
sorry, man.
I'm not trying to be fabulous. I just don't want my wonky eye on the internet. You know what I mean?
Okay. So I gonna ask you about your record because it's gonna be out in June.
Yeah.
It's called Bridges. Tell us a little bit about this new album. The album cover is amazing.
My friend Doug Brown did that. Yes. It's sort of AI generated. It's very interesting. He said he heard the music and he wanted to design the cover. And I said, okay, man. And it's really cool. I mean, it doesn't look like everybody else's stuff, which is, I mean, the old album cover is kind of like, I thought, like, has everybody seen everything there is to see? And
Yes,
this is sort of like harkens back to a sort of Pink Floyd-y kind of a thing, and one of my favorite bands.
absolutely. Before we start talking about the music, I think you brought up something very exciting, which is IA.
AI.
AI, sorry. In
That's
Spanish
okay.
is the other way around. Sorry. Yeah, what do you think about
Well, I'm like kind of, there's good parts of it and really scary parts of it. It depends on what we're talking about and how it's used. And I'm not a scientist, so I don't know, but I have been keeping an eye on what's going on with AI right now. It's kind of interesting and terrifying at the same time. But the scary thing is, like, they don't, let's just say, for example, they took every Toto record we ever did and put it into a computer and said, write me a new Toto song. And it pops out with something that's be like, wow, okay, that's pretty close. And this is just initial AI. And in 10 years, it'll be like, who knows where we're going to be at. Maybe we'll all be wiped off the planet once the computers realize that us, the meat suits, are what's messing everything up, and they'll just get rid of us. I hope
that's
that's
that
I hope that's just a bad science fiction thing, but who knows at this point in the game? It's a crazy world.
that's like the Terminator film. That's the same thing.
Where I think we're living in the Terminator film right now.
Oh,
You see the dogs in New York, the little RoboCop
oh
dogs,
yeah,
where
I
they walking
saw.
on the street, and like they're supposedly, they can. If once they weaponize those things, it's going to be like we're living in the movie RoboCop. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my god, what is all this?
It's super
You
scary.
all have 30 seconds to drop your weapon. I don't have a weapon.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Computer glitch, and we're all fucked. You know what I mean?
Okay, Steve. So Bridges is your ninth album, I think. I
I
had the
stopped counting.
chance. You stopped counting them. I had the chance to listen to it, and I found it very energetic. Starts very heavy, and I think the first song is very special for you. I read the reason, and it was very special for me too because I've been a father recently. Please tell us the story a little bit about the
You
first
know,
song.
I've been dragging my son in the studio to play ever since he was still in high school. Even when he's just starting out, say, I want you to play the power chords on this song, and he's come into the studio. So I mean, I was always dragging him around. He's the only one of my four kids that like took the music seriously,
Mhm.
and now he's a professional and he's really great. But anyway, so he's played on all my solo stuff, and we played live together. And I'm his biggest fan. But on this new record, I mean, I said, I'm gonna make a record, man. Why don't you write me something? Why don't you write something? We'll finish it. Come up with a riff, because he's so great with riffs and ideas. Well, not only did he write something good, he brought in the track almost finished.
Wow.
I mean, he played all the clean guitar parts, bass, keyboards, did some background vocals, came up with most of it. And me and Joe helped him finish it with the melody and the lyrics and all the other stuff. And I put all the heavier guitars on there. And we brought in Simon Phillips to play drums. And I thought, this is so cool. My kid producing my vocals. No, Dad, do one more. That's not good enough. You can do better than that. But I, don't think- I listened to him. I mean, he's 36 years old. He's not a little kid anymore, but
Yeah.
he was 35 at the time. But yeah, it was a thrill for me. I loved it.
Wow,
Family.
it's fantastic.
I just got with all my friends and family and made this record, just for fun. At the
Yeah.
end, like right before we went back to work, like towards the very end of the pandemic, when everybody was coming out into the world again without that much fear.
Hmm.
And so we just did it in 3 weeks, from the first notes of writing the first song to the end of okay, we're ready to mix. It was 3 weeks.
Mhm.
And then we went on the road for damn near a year, and I sat on it and came back end of last year and had Ken Freeman mix the album for me, and it's coming out next month.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's 16th. The day is 16th June, I think.
Right here.
By the way, in that song, well, not in that song, in the whole album, your sound is amazing as usual. Would you like to share a little bit? How did you approach the sound for this album? Was anything different from previous occasions?
Well, the biggest difference is that this one, I said, I'm not going to try to play really fast guitar on
Mhm.
stuff. I really want to just downshift to low gear, play, melodic, interesting phrasing, cool choice of notes. Last album I did was my self-indulgent, let's play everything live and unedited live solos and flashier.
Mhm.
Excuse me, choking on my own spit. So I got to do that. This time I said, I want to do a song record. I'm gonna get with my old friends. Let's make an 80s record. I said, like, let's make an 80s record like we used to do just for fun. And that's what we did. I got Paige and Joseph produced the record because we did the record at his house. And he lives
Mhm.
alone, and and he loves to tinker around when nobody's around. And he's a great record producer and a great partner in songwriting. And I just gave him the ball, and said, and he just he made the whole record better. I mean, that's why I say a solo record. I didn't do any of this by myself, man. All my friends came in and brought it. My son too, and I love everybody for that. And we had fun, and it came out the way better than I thought it might, and the title Bridges is like a bridge between my solo stuff and, like, say, 80s Toto stuff that I sang, or early 90s stuff that we did when I was fronting the band, like Kingdom of Desire, Tamboo, those kind of records, when I was singing a lot of the stuff. It was sort of like, it wouldn't be out of place with that, but it's not a Toto record in the true sense of the word. I don't want to get into all that, but we have all been working on each other's solo albums in the last couple of years, so we'll continue to do that. We still love to work together. Like, great bringing back Simon and Shannon Forrest. We're all still friends, even though other guys are doing other things. Great, perfect.
I think I really follow your career and all your interviews. And I believe one of the most special things about your career is that friendship and work is always like together, because you stated many times that most of the musicians that participated in this album, you know them since you were kids.
Yeah.
And I think this is very difficult to find in the business. Like, your friends from when you were a kid are the professionals you work with too.
We all came up around the same time, I mean, well, we did come up at the same time. When I met Steve Lukather and his brothers in 10th grade or whatever it was, my buddy Michael Lando and I have known each other since we were 12 years old and been best friends from then until now.
Hmm.
And we got in a band with Steve Lukather in high school. We met his brother Jeff and Mike, and then, David Page. So I've known those guys since I was 15, 16 years old, and we formed this band, and everybody else who joined, John Pierce, who's playing bass with us now, he was in our high school band. So I mean, Carlos Vega was our drummer, but Jeff and Paige used to come play at our high school gigs with us when Jeff was still in Steely Dan, when he was in Steely Dan in like 74. So we were like playing all the Steely Dan stuff, and it was just, we were all studying music and we're taking it very seriously. We all had goals. We wanted to be studio players and we wanted to have a band, which is a pretty lofty dream, like, I want it all. But we didn't think we were always like tunnel vision. There's no way it can't happen. We studied hard. We played hard. Yes, we were geographically placed well, living in LA, but I mean, it's not my fault. I mean, the people that I met were in my neighborhood. I mean, God put us together. I didn't. You know, there's a little gene pool of guys that all went on to have great professional music careers, you know.
Yeah,
Sadly,
absolutely.
our brothers have left us, but you know, at the same time, it's like, well, what a wonderful experiences. What a ride. Good, bad, and the ugly.
You're probably one of the most representative guitarists of the LA session musician, like Mike and Londo. Yeah. For at least for us who live in the distance
I'm
and
smiling. I'm
think
going, "Oh, thanks." You know what I mean? No, I never really thought of myself like that. I just was trying to make a living, trying to hang on.
that was my question. Do you see yourself as that? Did you see yourself at that point when you started doing it?
Well, I wanted to be. I mean, all my heroes, you know, Larry Carlton, Rittenauer, Ray Parker, Jay Graydon, you know, Dean Parks. Those are the guys that I was sitting next to when I was still a young, early, you know, 18 or 19 years old, 20 years old, who are still lifelong friends of mine. But they were my heroes, and they still are. I just wanted to be like them. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not like them. I wish I was because they're so incredible. But I found my voice, my little thing, and then Mike came in with me just a little bit after, and we, you know, they all moved up to be artists or record producers and stuff, and there was a hole for us to come in and, oh, we need there's some young blood here, and we came in and started doing everything. And those are some of the happiest times of my life, most exciting, like every day working with legendary artists, literally. Like I'm in a room with like Stevie Wonder or Miles Davis or Joni Mitchell or Aretha Franklin or, you know, the rock Alice Cooper. I mean, I can go on and just drop names all day long. I don't want to do that. But when I was young, I got to work with so many of my heroes. It was Elton John. I mean, I think about it and I go, did that really happen? Was I really there? Because I started like 30 years ago or something like that. But aside from an occasional guest solo on somebody for a friend or something. But, you know, I did that the best. I mean, at the last generation of the real studio guys that showed up not knowing what they were going to do that day. No rehearsal, no demos. Just better be ready to come up with some great stuff today. What are we doing today? Some guy
Yeah.
plays an acoustic guitar song or a piano song, and then next thing you know, 2 hours later, there's a record. We'd all put our own parts and our own ideas to somebody trying to make their music better. That's what we got hired for.
Wow. Actually, I have to say, in the previous days to this interview, when they told me I was going to interview Steve Lukather, I was really nervous
Why?
because of
Why?
what you said.
Look at
Because
me.
of what you said,
What are you doing? Am I that scary, really?
a little bit. Because
Hey.
you're the guy who recorded probably the most important record of all times in this. I mean, in the business, which is Thriller by Michael Jackson. And I have a
I was
couple of
honored to
questions.
be on it. I was on, you know, I started working with Quincy when I was like in my early 20s, and I did the Dude record, which was a huge record. I got to play guitar, and I think I played guitar on the whole record. And I was just a kid. Quincy took a shine to me. He liked me, you know, and I really loved working with him. He says, I'm doing Michael's follow-up to Off the Wall. I'd like for you to be on some of it. I mean, like, gotta be honored. Come on. Because I knew that was, you know, I was starting to work on records and projects that were gonna be that you knew were gonna be successful. So I, you know, be an A-lister session guy. I was like totally living the dream that I had in my brain of what it might be like. You know, I'm in the room with Quincy and, you know, there's Michael and all this stuff. You know, Michael's the same age as me, so, you know, we're joking around in the studio and stuff. I mean, we were never like really close friends, but we were friendly acquaintances, musically speaking. I never saw any weird shit or anything. But he was very nice to me, and the whole experience was really positive. I mean, they didn't tell me what to play. They hired me to come up with what I wanted to play, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, with the exception of Michael had the actual beat it riff. That was his. But I came up with some other secondary parts that he didn't think of. The da, 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 da. I came up with that the secondary shit with that. He had the idea for the riff, but he didn't have the riff completed. But he had the da, 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 da. That was Michael, you know. And then the way we made that record was weird because Michael's vocal and Eddie's solo was already done, and they cut the tape, the 2-inch tape, which screwed up the Synthi code lockup. So
Oh,
Jeff Power and I had to put that record back together backwards with no click tracks or nothing. It was a bit of a challenge. We did it, you know.
so let me put this straight. They had recorded Michael's vocals only with no click
It was
track
a
or
no.
no.
That's the ambiguity of people saying that they played on the track. There was two versions of Beat It. The first version didn't get used, but it was what Michael sang and Eddie played to. So they
Mhm.
had that on the master reel, on the master reel, but they needed because because the tape wouldn't lock up to the original track, they had to remake the track because Michael spent days doubling and quad. You know, he would do his vocal 5 times and then layer
Okay.
5 vocals. So it wasn't like a double, it was like 5. That was their magic number. And they would the way they mixed it, it would sound like one, but it was fat. It took a long time to
Oh.
do. Eddie solo, first generation. Digitally now you can call back things right away, and you don't if you just cut something, it's no big deal because he goes right back. He's recall. But when it was actual tape, it was different. This early 80s, you know what I mean? So we put Humpty Dumpty back together is what they did, and if people saw how we did that, it would be like it was very strange, but we did it, and the end result's the end result.
I can't imagine how difficult that was when with tape. I mean,
It was all we knew then, so it wasn't difficult. It was just okay. This is a challenge, but Quincy told Jeff Vaccaro and myself to go into Sunset Sound with Umberto Gatica, the engineer, and bail him out while he was working at Westlake on Billie Jean or something. You know what I mean? It was like these were all things that we were hearing in raw form that came out to be these legendary songs that live in everybody's DNA now.
yeah, absolutely.
I
Have
was
you
really
ever been?
honored to be. I was really honored to be part of one of the biggest records of all time. We never knew. We didn't know. When you're doing, you go, well, we know it's going to be big. We didn't know how big.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because probably at that point you knew it was gonna be big. But have you ever recorded something that you, as a session player, have you ever felt that a record was underrated because you thought, wow, this record deserves a lot more?
Oh, all the time. You see, I was the worst because I would laugh at songs that ended up being number one records. Beat It.
Okay.
Let's Get Physical. I'd be like, Beat It. Come on, man. Really? Beat It? You really gonna sing that? Because my mind goes into the gutter. You know what I mean? I'm like thinking nasty shit, and I was like, I don't know what they meant by that. But in Let's Get Physical by Olivia Newton-John, when I was doing the solo on that, I'm listening to Let's Get Physical, and I started laughing, going, I started simulating like I'm having sex with the console in the room and making everybody laugh. And the producer, John Farrar, is an Australian cat who I loved. He hired me when I was a kid. I think he's what a talent. And and I love working with Olivia. God bless her, she was amazing. What a beautiful, nice, wonderful person. But I laughed and sometimes I go, that is the shit. That's gonna be a smash, and nothing. Just
Oh,
nothing. I'd be like, wow, really? Same thing, man. I said the same thing about Africa. The Toto. I was like, man, I mean, it's a great track, but come on, Africa. Really? And it turns out to be this, billion streams later, and God knows how many. It's 10 million records in the United States alone, just on that single.
wow,
I
wow.
mean, it made a big splash, and it's had a resurgence, and it keeps us in the game. So, what do I know? My point is, I don't know anything about this stuff. Love the tune. It's been a golden carrot. It's been thank you, Lord. I really appreciate these gifts. But I've never been the guy that picks a single on anything ever.
Why do you think it's so difficult to predict what people's gonna love?
It's like what hits the nerve. You can go, that's catchy. I think that could be a hit. You could say that. We've said that many times, and it has. But other times you go, I don't know. I don't know about that one. That becomes the smash.
Mhm.
Right? So we try our best on everything we ever played on. I know I did. I gave my best every time, no matter if it was a hit record or not. I still tried the very best I could to give to the people that would hire me.
Okay. I believe that sometimes there are two kinds of people in the music business, the musicians and the business guy who is not a musician. Do you think the business guy is always trying to predict who or which song is going to be a success more than the musician, maybe?
The terrifying part is most of the suits at the record labels, they're not musicians and they really don't know. They guess.
Okay.
I think, I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not pointing the finger at any one person, but when the accountants and lawyers took over running became presidents of record labels, then the musicality of it, the music people that used to be the record company, like Mo Austin, the people, the Erdogan brothers at Atlantic, and Clive Davis early on at Columbia, Sony. When it became suits and lawyers and people like that, they would just guess. They go, I have to ask 20 people before I can give you an answer whether I like it or not. You can't give your own opinion. That's happened a lot to us.
Yeah. Also, I think you're an example of having a strong session work, but also a strong artistic career, your own career with Dodo as a solo artist. And I think there are not so many guitar players like that. What's the secret? How did you do it?
You know what? The secret is I don't think about it. It's like, I just want to keep creating, I still like to make new music, even, like this, doing these record bridges, my new record. I mean, I did it for fun. Records don't sell millions of copies anymore. You know what I mean? So we do this to scratch the artistic. I'm still trying to make music, new ideas, even though I call it from a lifetime where the stuff is stylistically the way I write, chords that I use, riffs and stuff. It becomes a stylistic thing, but I keep trying, and then I going back to play the hits for everybody on the road. I love doing that too. I've had a brilliant, not brilliant is not the right word. I've had a very insane career that most people don't have. To be a session guy, top session guy, be in a band that's multi-platinum and has a success for 46 years, and to get to do solo stuff too and have a career, and then get to play with all these other great little projects that I get invited to do. I keep busy. I'm so busy looking ahead that I don't look behind. And now that I get older, I start going, wow, did I really do all that? Something will come up and all these memories come back from when I was young, and I'm very grateful for all that. I'm very, very, very lucky and fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. There's a million guitar players better than me. I just happen to be able to go in and be able to go, I hear a lot of parts around somebody just singing the melody and playing keyboards, singing their song with nothing else. I go, I got an idea to play behind that. I have an arranger's ear, you know what I mean? I hear what's not there, and that's why I got hired.
We're also grateful to have your music, Steve, because you really made a difference for a lot of us. So thank you.
I don't know about that, but thank you very much for saying so.
Also, I think you have like new models of Ernie Ball Music Man guitar.
Yeah, we have
this
the
year.
The L4 is coming out, 30th anniversary of me being with the company. I'm thrilled about that, man. I really love the guitars. I love the company. They're family to me. They've been so good to me. We've had great success with selling these guitars. And I love them. It's a great hybrid Strat Les Paul kind of a thing that with their own touches to it. And we're trying new pickups. They're always innovating, and I'd love to take credit for all that, but I got to give the credit to them. They just keep sending me great stuff, and I might give a slight critique or something, but most of the time, I'd say 99.9% of the time, they send me something. I go, my only notes to you are, this is fantastic. And they keep sending me stuff. So all of a sudden, that new guitar becomes my new A guitar. But I've kept them all through the years. I still got them in my vault. The various different ones.
It's a classic model now.
It's a new one. They keep getting better and different and worth exploring. Some people collect all the ones. We've done very well with those, and I'm, again, very grateful for that.
A frequent question for you would be about your live gear, but I have a different question this time. What does Steve Lukather use when he plays at home?
I love the third person. What does Steve Lukather? Well, you know what? My friend Joey Brassler at Fender. And oh God, what's the guy's name who actually built the thing? Oh, this is terrible. I can't remember. They built me this great little like combo, sort of like a Blues DeVille, but it's all been hot rodded. Okay. So I have that in my office that I play, and I love that. That's a great recording amp. But I've just been stealing it, just to have in my house. So I have a good amp to play through. But I mean, yeah. But my album. I did the Bogners, and the Bogner Helios. I used that, and I used just the one music. I'll show you the guitar.
Oh yeah, cool.
This This guitar was the whole new album.
Wow.
This is the one I've been playing live for years, and before I brought it home, and now I'm playing some other new ones. The L4 is the L3, I believe. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
so all the tones you hear are from that guitar and that amp. That's it, the whole album. So
Wow. It sounds amazing. There are a few effects over there too.
we did stuff at the desk. I mean, I didn't really use that much, you know. I mean,
Okay.
delays and verbs and stuff were done at the mixing desk rather than I have that stuff on my board for live, but I didn't need to use it in the studio.
Okay.
I didn't use a wall pedal and the distortion box. Maybe Jeff Coleman has a great man. The Roddenberry made me a custom with 3 different options of different tones of distortion or overdrive. But mostly I just crank the amp up all the way and just play.
I thought I heard the phaser at the song at some point, very subtle.
I got one of those small little teeny phase 90s, and I just turned it on slow and started playing like a ding, 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 and that was the first song we wrote for the album. So I mean, this is an analog, you know, analog shit.
Last question, Steve. I have to play a few bars of Hold the Line in 2 weeks. Do I have your blessing?
Of course, please. Hey man, I mean that song started it all for us. I never get sick of playing that one. I make jokes about, oh, I don't want to play that anymore. Some people take what I say seriously. It's ridiculous. How could you be mad at a hit record?
Okay. Thanks for your time, Steve. I recommend everyone to listen to the new album Bridges of Steve Lukather. And thanks again. It was.
There you
This
go.
meant a lot for me. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. God bless you. And hi, everybody. Have a nice day.